So I am going to make a video, and I'm going to reply to a comment that I received. So I made a video about the people who were squatting in the house in my neighborhood, and they got kicked out, and they took all their trash, and they actually moved in onto the street where it was blocking traffic and had stuff in front of people's homes. But I want to talk about that and about the comment. So they made a comment about, why am I mad? Why don't I just solve the problem? Why don't I fix it? Why don't I take care of myself? And I got to thinking, I was like, I'm just one person. I can't solve homelessness. Or can I? So, a little backstory, because I've learned a lot more about what happened talking to other people. So, there has been 20 to 25 people in and out of that house. I have seen them day and night. They ride their bikes around the neighborhood. These are people that are stealing, people that are on drugs. I don't know if any of them are mentally challenged or mentally ill or have neurological issues. But I know what I've been told is that most of them are habitual drug users. They steal bikes. They steal kids' bikes. They're stealing stuff out of people's yards. They're breaking into houses. They panhandle in groups. So when you see like 2 or 3 people on the corner, if you look around, I'm actually at an intersection right now. If you look like somewhere hidden, there's more people, and they interchange and swap out. I've talked about this prior in other videos, but they actually have 8. If you see 2 people, there's probably 6 or 8, and they, that way someone's on the corner, and they take shifts, and then they pull their money together and they go buy whatever they want. So, but these are people that have. I guess let me back up and talk about the house in question. So this particular house, my understanding is a person owned 2 houses, got involved in drugs themselves. One of the people, either the person who owned it or a relative of the person, OD'd, died because of drug use. And the remaining person who is in charge of the house has allowed people to come in and sleep it off and do kind of like a halfway house situation. Well, it's gotten either beyond their control or they've lost control, or I don't know who owns the house now, but the house has been one that is constantly broken into. They bust out the windows, they take off the doors, and they go in there and they do drugs, and it's been, prostitution. I'm sure people have been wronged in that house, whether it be, death or rape or whatever. But a lot of bad stuff happens in a house. And I'm close enough to know about it, but far enough away that it does not actively affect my life. I can tell you that a long time ago I had someone steal one of my trash cans from my house, and they were going through my trash and stealing stuff, and they actually started just taking the trash can out of, and just stole the can. And I was actually like, I don't want to be around them so much because they are, because of drugs, absolutely crazy. Like, I don't trust them. But so anyway, so the house has gotten way out of control, and they've raided it numerous times over the years, as far as running people off. But an hour or 2 they're always right back in, so the cops really are just fighting a losing battle, and people have boarded it up, people have done 1,000 different things, and they just keep breaking in. So how do you solve that kind of problem? Well, one, you need more police enforcement, but half the police are quitting or being fired or out of money or their budget. So there is a solution, but it's not. It's one to where one person has to be a martyr, and that's either take a bulldozer, bulldoze the whole house down, set it on fire, or kill all the people that show up. But see, that involves a martyr, and I don't want to be a martyr. I like my freedom. I like my life. So, the other option is we actually start arresting people who are breaking into houses and squatting in people's houses, but see, I can't do that. I'm not a cop. I can't just arrest people, for breaking in houses. But the cops, for whatever reason, they'll show up once every 3 months when it gets completely out of control. And on both sides of that particular house, there's children living there. There's families trying to just go on about their day, and they have to deal with this issue. And I want to make a note about one other thing. When they moved out all that stuff, and I showed that video, this is stuff that is blocking other people's homes and blocking their driveways. There was a lady there that's in her 60s, divorced, widowed, whatever, and she's living by herself. She comes home from work, and there's these druggies and these homeless people that has blocked their driveway and put their stuff in her driveway. And she pulls up and she's scared. Like, she actually told me that she went somewhere else. She went and, called the police and said, I can't get to my house and I'm scared to sleep there now. And this has been going on, 3 days now, and they're still living in the street, and they're blocking a third of the street of a little blacktop 2-lane road, residential road. These are people that has moved in front of, I think, 6 houses now that they have blocked and literally just squatting in the middle of the road on city property. And that's the catch. In the city, because it being the weekend now, because it happened they raided on Friday. Thursday is when everything happened. So they've been there Friday, Saturday, and today's Sunday. They've been living in the street with all their stuff. Now, and us as homeowners and people in the neighborhood, if we do anything, then we go to jail. And then, so that's the problem. They say, how do we solve homelessness? Well, we need a superhero or a martyr to go in there and either annihilate everything and burn down the house or tear down the house or get it to where it's no longer able to be broken into, which I can do, but see, then I would go to jail for modifying someone else's house without their permission. Or I would go to jail, if I was to do it, of burning down the whole house. Or I would go to jail for just killing everybody that, is involved there. Now, I can say there are ways that we could fix homelessness, and one, we get 100% hardcore on getting rid of drugs. But there's too much money in the drug trade for the government to stop it. Hell, that's how they get most of their funding, besides robbing us for taxes. Or we could reenact, not homeless camps, but kind of like the mentally, like the big grand estates where it was like 200 rooms. And I'm talking about back in the 1800s, we had massive places for the mentally ill or the people that were going through stuff. And I want to clarify one thing. I don't have a problem with homeless as long as they're not trying to interfere with my life. If you remember what this whole channel is about, is absolute freedom. Because I've made plenty of videos in the past about the freedom of being homeless, of not having to pay bills and not having to pay taxes. But it's when you incorporate drug use or the mental aspect of it that you start infecting other people's lives. I believe in absolute freedom to do whatever you want to in life, as long as you don't negatively affect someone else's life. That's the key. The key is not to hinder someone else's life because of your freedom. I don't care if a man wants to pay $20-some thousand to become a dog. As long as he's not negatively affecting someone else's life, that person should be able to do it. And I'm referring to the guy who wanted to become a collie. There's some Japanese or some guy out there. There's people that tattoo their entire bodies and pierce and make them look like lizards and snakes and all this stuff. I don't have a problem with it, as long as they're not out affecting someone else's life negatively. Now, if someone gets offended because someone does that, well, then that's kind of, that's on you. But, when you're actually going and breaking into people's homes and putting your trash in front of someone else's house to where they have to look at it, and they're trying to sleep that night knowing that there's people that are on drugs and possibly have broken into people's homes before, and now there's literally sleeping in your front yard on city property. That's the problem I have. And there's easy ways to fix homeless. Just remove them, delete them. We can put them all in jail, make these massive compounds. But see, then we're talking about, Pol Pot and Stalin and Hitler, and and this is the road we go down when we try to fix problems without fixing the major problem, which is drugs. But again, there's too much money in drugs. In fact, there's a lot of problems. Realistically, I'm not the one to do it. I'm not going to do it, but I'm saying realistically, You know, a gallon of gasoline and a match can fix so many problems in this world. You know, but again, it's, you know, how do you fix the underlying problem? And you don't. So, you know, and there are, you know, veterans that are homeless that have, you know, physical debilities. I've seen a lot of people that are, you know, in wheelchairs, or, you know, some that have physical things through, you know, either they're veterans or they got in a bad accident or whatever reason and they lost their home and stuff like that. I feel sorry for them, and you know, as long as they're not on drugs and they're trying to make it and stuff, them are the people I'm like, okay, you know, let's figure out ways to help them people. But if you're on drugs, you can't help people at all. They are the only ones that are going to be able to fix themselves. I've dealt with a multitude of family members who have been and currently are on drugs, and there's nothing you can do to help them. So, anyways, I think that's all I'm gonna say on this particular subject. But, you know, it's oh, wait. Let me tell you this. So some of the things I was talking about is, you know, like, okay, I really did solve, and this is a parody. This is for fun, but I was going on about, you know, like, oh, well, we can fix homeless by tearing down all the homes and nobody can have a home. Now we're all, you know, we're all homeless. But then I was talking about, well, people who work in places, you're going to have a, you know, roof and cover, so then you're going to start sleeping at where you work, you know, kind of like enslavement camps and stuff like that. But you can't have that, so let's tear down all the businesses. And then I was talking about, you know, we can't have asphalt because you don't want someone living on asphalt and then someone having to live on grass, on dirt, you know. And I went down this whole thing about how we had to, you know, like, someone can't have a bigger tree than someone else, so now we got to cut down all the trees. And I went down this thing, and it would just, that's why I was laughing at the beginning of the video, because I took it to such an absurd level to fix homelessness, to where, you know, now we're going back and everybody has to have sand. But God, if someone has better sand than someone else, you know, now let's just blow up the whole earth, you know, to fix homelessness. But yeah, that's this. I was gonna make a real funny, like a trolling video, but then I was like, you know, I really want to talk about the situation that we have here, and you know, there are ways to fix it, but it involves things that no one wants to do. So, and everybody just doesn't want it in front of their house. You know, like, I would really have to do some soul searching on what would happen if people moved into the, you know, the front of my house. And like, I know one thing, I'd be calling the police in the city every hour on the hour until they were removed. I do know that, you know. But yeah, it's a hard place to be in, you know. And I'm doing some soul searching with, you know, like, I'm trying to get rid of the stuff I have because it's a liability to me. You know, so I'm doing a lot, and I'm gonna talk about this in another video about some things that I'm thinking about and going through, and you know, but it doesn't matter where you go. I was visiting my sister, and she lives way outside of town. Like, you know, it's a developing neighborhood, and there's, like, you know, it's a new version of a gentrified neighborhood, but it was farmland, not slums, or, you know, it wasn't a bad area. It was farmland that they're developing. And she was telling me, like, yeah, we have a problem with homeless sleeping in the woods way out here. I was like, damn, you know, I mean, it's a long walk to get to anywhere there. We walked around the neighborhood. It was like 3 miles just to walk, you know, around the neighborhood. But yeah, I don't think it matters where you go. Like, I know small towns, they have a huge issue with prescription pills and, you know, drug use in small towns. Big towns, you have, you know, more, you know, bigger drugs. You know, you're getting into heroin and meth and, you know, a bunch of other stuff that when you get into a more dense neighborhood. But everybody's looking for the better high, you know. And I got a lot of history with meth. A lot of, you know, I have a lot of family members that have fought with meth. And for some reason, I don't know why, you know, but I never got involved in drugs. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never smoked a joint. I've never taken anything other than, I had, like, pills after doing dental surgery, but even then, you know, I take one or two and says, nope, no more. You know, I'll deal with the pain. I did smoke. Well, I didn't smoke, but I took 2 puffs on a cigar. But I was in the back of a 5 ton in Norway, and it was a little chilly, and I was like, it was -10 degrees in the back of a truck, and I was like, okay, I want to get warm, so I took 2 puffs of a cigar, and that about made me sick. So then I sat there and took my hands. I was like, just blowing on it just to feel some kind of warmth. So that's the only thing I've ever done is 2 puffs on a cigar. So, but again, I was fucking cold. So anyway, I think I'm gonna shut this video down. Plato's is having a 90% off clearance. So I'm gonna go see if they got anything, and then I gotta go to. I've been hunting for one thing at Walmart, and every single Walmart sold out. So yeah. Peace, love, money. I'm out.